Alright guys, welcome back to race number one. Let's get into it. So let's just get a live reaction from the Monaco Grand Prix qualifying sessions. So overall, really strong performance from Charles Leclerc. However, what is going on with Red Bull and Max Verstappen? Even Checo Perez. Checo Perez qualifying P18. What on earth is going on at Red Bull? So straight away, let's jump into that. So obviously in FP1 and FP2, Max Verstappen and Checo complaining the car was jumping around like a kangaroo. They had no confidence in the car whatsoever. Helmut Marko's commented and said also their correlation between their simulation and their track data doesn't seem to be working well together. Blah, blah, blah. We've had the same stories from Mercedes for the last 2 years. So it'll be interesting to know how quickly Red Bull can fix this. It seems to be only street tracks that really affect the Red Bull in terms of the curb usage and stuff like that. It seems like they're actually a lot more dialed in compared to Mercedes, to no one's surprise. Right, let's touch on Mercedes because it's a very interesting weekend. FP1, FP2, Lewis was first and I think third in FP2, and then FP3 I think he was still high up there. Now, there was a lot of comments going around, do Mercedes turn their engines up more compared to everyone else in free practice, just so it looks better for the sponsors, looks better on paper, it looks like the car's actually got a chance to perform. And then coming to qualifying, same story that we see every single week, they struggle to get anywhere in the top 10. Now, after qualifying, Lewis actually made these comments here where he's stating that he doesn't believe he's ever going to out-qualify George Russell between now and the rest of the year. He fundamentally stating that something seems to go on between the end of FP3 and getting ready for qualifying, where he jumps in the car for qualifying, and he feels that everyone either turns their engines up more, or perhaps Mercedes are turning his engine down. Now, this could be the case, right? This obviously Lewis is going to leave. Do they want Lewis to consistently be outshining George? What message does that send to the future Mercedes sponsors? Do they want to keep it that, no, look, George is actually out-competing Lewis. Next year will be absolutely fine. Keeps giving us money. Keeps sending us some money for advertisement, sponsorship, brand deals, all of this type of thing. Is that what Lewis is alluding to? Because he was pretty confident there that he will never out-qualify George this season. Now, I wouldn't put it past Mercedes to be doing this, to perhaps turning Lewis's engine down or not giving him some power or some advantage. You know, we've seen it in the past when Lewis actually joined McLaren. They was prioritising Fernando Alonso. I think they ended up giving Fernando Alonso cooler fuel or so along those lines. I don't know if you guys can remember, but yeah. So there's definitely something going on at Mercedes because it doesn't make sense. You know, we see it every weekend in terms of race pace. Lewis is pretty fast and manages to get ahead of George. However, qualifying, it has been disappointing from Lewis's side of the garage, definitely. Overall, so Charles managed to get P1. Brilliant, superb performance from Charles in qualifying. So every session, pretty much, he's been dominant in free practice. He's actually shown real big pace. However, the big concern for me is this is his home race, and he's been unlucky in the past. I pray to the Formula One gods, please let Charles Leclerc win this. This will be better than Lando winning a couple of weekends ago. This would be the icing on the cake. Charles, he's from Monaco, or he's Monegasque. He's the Prince of Monaco. Please let us see him get a victory today. That will be absolutely sweet. Now, obviously, we've got Oscar in P2. Fantastic drive from Oscar. That McLaren's definitely got pace. That McLaren is definitely going to be battling and getting some more race victories this year, 100%. But not today, Oscar. Please. And then we've got Carlos, obviously, in P3. Carlos, again, he was nowhere pretty much most of the qualifying, and he managed to pull out some strong laps towards the end. So brilliant job from Carlos. Then we've got Lando Norris, P4. So Lando, again, I've seen a difference, a change in Lando since that victory. He's become maybe a little bit more arrogant, got a bit more confidence about him, which isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. I'm not complaining. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. However, P4, he probably could have done better, but I don't know. I know there were some issues on the track. I know he picked up some advertisement sponsors that got stuck under his front wing or something, so that lost him a load of downforce. P5, we've got George Russell. Oh, I cannot stand this guy. George Russell, he is the bane of my life. He is an ag. George Russell is definitely an ag. I can't. This guy, yeah, he's something else. However, yeah, it's great that he's so close to the top three or top four, however you want to look at it. However, it's Monaco. It's a very small track. The time deficit isn't relative to a normal track performance. So don't get too excited, George. It's nothing spectacular. We'll see it next weekend, and you'll struggle to get P7 on a normal track. So, yeah, go George. P6, obviously Max Verstappen. So Max struggled throughout qualifying. Throughout free practice. Although in qualifying he managed to put his foot down. Obviously they turned the engine up, and he was giving it some. He was definitely giving it some beans. Pedal to the metal. Literally, he was millimeters away from touching the wall. Well, in actual fact, he did touch the wall at one point, didn't he, on his last run? Nonetheless, Max Verstappen. Now, this is what I'm excited about. We've got George, Max, then Lewis. We're going to get some Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton interaction throughout this race. We're actually going to get some good racing.